guides have a message and something wants to come through. So I don't know what it is, but they're giving me stories, images, and a sense that this is connected to the story of our evolution, the evolution of consciousness and where we are now. And feels fun, feels exciting, feels technical. Let's find out. So, to listen to a channeling transmission, it's a good idea, generally speaking, to empower your inner listener, to bring the awareness away from looking outwards, and to close, in fact, the outward-facing eyes, turn them inwards, and bring the awareness into the heart, into the seat and center. So open the awareness to how we're feeling in the body. And rather than processing the mind's kind of the words too analytically with the mind, to keep returning the awareness into, okay, how do I feel? How do I feel right now? Am I in my center? Am I feeling my whole body sensations? Am I just being with the simplicity of the breath? Great, okay. And how do I feel while I'm listening to this? And I would recommend that for any transmission. I'd recommend that for somebody talking, watching the television, everything's a transmission. But when we do this, this empowers our highest level of discernment, I feel. It also engages our inner filtering system, and it means that we receive what's for us and what's not passes us by. So that's the recommendation, what we do with our awareness, and the seat of our attention is everything in terms of what we open to and what we receive from. So what we give our energy to and what we receive from in terms of transmissions and energies and frequencies and information, what we're doing with the seat of our attention and the seat of our awareness is everything in terms of whether we're opening to something safely and holding our own inner alignment. So that's a suggestion. I'm going to take a few minutes just to prepare. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is a chance for us to explore communicating, being with you in a different way, a slightly new way for us, where we sit in with more of a, you might say, physical presence, although that is not quite accurate. But we sit in with more of cross-dimensional presence, to be with you more in closer vibrational resonance to your physicality, to your physical realm. We are constantly working to increase, improve our capacity to sit more presently with you. so that what we bring through as vibrational information may be more directly felt and received. Much is transmitted indeed in the silence, the spaces in between the words. So we call your awareness to be present with your seat and center, the seat and center of your subjective experience. For each of you are, each of all are. A holographic projection of information that is constantly weaving a dimensional reality in which consciousness can experience itself through extrapolation of itself, through extrapolation of variables it wishes to explore. But you are all a seat and center at the heart of this visual, multisensory, holographic projection of consciousness. And when you bring yourselves into your seat and center, you may take up command of this experience in a way that enables a reweaving, changing the codifications, changing the stories and the scripts that determine what you shall project into your reality for yourselves to experience, and why. And though this information is indeed technical, the way to access the technology of the self is not technical in its methods. Quite the opposite, in fact. It is state-based for this, for fifth dimensional light technology is state-based light technology. And we influence the linearity of the codifications of the sacred geometry that encases the information that projects the hologram of our experience through the realms into manifestation. We access this not by changing the sacred geometry or affecting the linearity of the light technology we are. We access this by shifting our state. And we shift our state when we shift our awareness. To shift the seat of our attention is to change our state. And so, this is why we are constantly calling you to your center, to your seat and center, for it is not necessary to have a analytical, biological understanding of what this means. You have, each of you, an innate intelligence which knows what this means, which understands the instruction and carries it out. This is why in meditation simple tools may be used. Simple tools such as intention. Intention is simply an instruction to the innate intelligence that understands. So often we feel, dear ones, that instructions are carried out via analytical thought, via mind and mental processes. These are in fact quite limiting. Mind and mental processes are only able to carry out instructions they can compute, that they have understood. And the realm of mental processing in terms of understanding, the fullness of the self is limited, necessarily so. One of its purposes was to enable the experience of limitation, so that consciousness may experience itself as a limited expression of individuation. So, mental processes are in support in many ways of experiencing the self in its limited expression. However, as so many of you are, delightfully, fantastically, wonderfully are, engaged in exploring the self beyond its limitations, we ask that you shift and continue to shift the seat of attention to the center. The center is in fact a gateway through all the realms and all the dimensions of being. A gateway to the center of every self that ever has been. A gateway to source. A gateway to the original source. If you were projectors, there would be a light source that projects the light beam that lands upon a screen as an image you may see. We are not unsimilar as consciousness. The light beams may be thought of as rays of consciousness projected into a focal point, a focus for experience. And as human expressions, this is what you also are. You are at the point at which you are walking and talking, in which you are sat here in a body. You are also that focal point of one consciousness experiencing itself through individuation. However, there are more than 2 points of reference for this. The rays of light of one consciousness focus themselves through dimensions, through realms, through kingdoms. And one individuation within one consciousness may be thought of as containing more foci of physical or non-physical expressions of consciousness experiencing itself than can be counted. We are, each of us, constellations, and this human self is like one star within the constellation. One star. And this star in this life, here now, is coming into radiance. Is preparing to illuminate. Is getting ready, you would say, in your simple way, to shine. Shining happens. Illumination takes place when there is a clear connection between this human expression, the point of rays of light, rays of consciousness that have come to a point of focus. And shall we say, a connection a little further back up those rays of light. See, quite often humanity has been those rays of consciousness coming to a focus looking outside of itself, continuing that direction of light rays focused away from its center, looking out and away from. When humanity turns the light of its awareness back the way it's come, not in a time linear sense, not in a linear sense, but when it turns the focus of its awareness back to its heart and center, It is connected to, open to, aligned with, receiving from, returning to its origin, source, unconsciousness. The I am, that I am within all that is. And there are degrees, many degrees to this activity of turning inwards, of facing home. Each one, each moment, engaged in this activity changes what is being projected out into the holographic experience of the human self as consciousness, projecting a world of phenomena for it to experience itself within. And so the instruction is simple. To turn inwards, to be in our center, and also open our outward facing eyes to the phenomena of the world we have created for ourselves. To hold, in fact, both directions of perception. To be physically here and present. And facing inwards. And from this inward facing, ever opening awareness, to also open the outward facing eyes, to look into the creation, and with the light of the awareness that this now moment can bring, to respond anew, honestly, as one who also looks within. This responding leads to new choices, leads to new decisions, new beliefs, new expectations. This re-responding as we look out into the world while also facing inwards. As we look out into our creations with the light of consciousness coming home to itself, we change what we expect to see. We change what we give permission for. We change what is and isn't possible for ourselves. We begin to see the reality we've co-created with more and more of a perception that understands itself beyond the limitations so well maintained within the patterns and pathways of the mind and mental processes. And as we do this, and we change our reality for ourselves, we change the codifications, projecting this holographic experience within which we rest. And as we realize ourselves to be more and more not isolated units of consciousness, but one within a sea of all, we change more than simply our physical reality. We change more than simply our rules. We are in constant communication, constant interaction. Everything is one consciousness breathing itself, rebreathing and renewing, interconnected fields of awareness interacting. And when we shift our state, that information interacts with all with which we are interacting with. Through state shifting, we become new information transmitters. We transmit new information. That information is in a constant state of communication with all within which we are resonating as vibratory fields, focused here with a center. We shift our state, and we shift the state of our environment. We shift the state of others who are focused here with us in this plane of consciousness. And we become new information, we become new instructions, we become new codifications. And our environments are receptive and responsive to us, just as we are receptive and responsive to our environments. And our environments are interconnected fields of consciousness coming into focus, into density, where we may experience the phenomena of physicality. As we shift our state, so we shift all the instructions acting upon the consciousness that is also our environment. We do not control our environment. This has been the grand illusion. We have been able to explore collectively ways in which we can experience being controllers of an environment. But we are here now at a point of great realization, where we are not in fact able to control our environment. And sure enough, there shall be a reassertion in great waves of humanity's activity of needing to intensify a control of circumstance, because there has been an experience of not being able to. But for those who are also looking inward, while opening their eyes outwardly, it has been possible to see that it is not necessary for humanity to control its environment through imposition, dominion over, in order to bring about the harmony that holds humanity in temperate conditions, safely, desirably. Has there not been sufficient evidence in this moment of state change within reality, of release, humanity's release of its control of its environment? Has there not been sufficient evidence of the capacity of consciousness to rebalance itself? In this case, the consciousness of your planet, of Gaia, of the earth. When humanity steps back and gets out of the way, is there not in fact a rebalancing that takes place as a result of this stepping back from interfering? It is very much the same, dear ones. It is very much the same with consciousness, with awareness. It is when we step back and we cease trying to control what is happening in our environment, but we turn our outward-facing eyes inwards, aligning with the light of consciousness originating from the source of all, into the individuation each of us are. And with this inward-facing gaze, we also look out upon our environment. There are responses that arise in us collectively, naturally unbidden, that do not arise from the mind, that do not originate from our mental processes. There are unanimous responses, and we can look at some of these indeed. We can see some of these that have been part of humanity's picture recently. Has there not been, for example, a desire for harmony, for peace? Well, for harmony indeed, in experience. A desire for comfort, a desire for nurture. These things are quite natural. And the reason they are natural is because when consciousness, interconnected fields of consciousness are in a harmonious interrelationship within themselves, one of the characteristics of that is indeed comfort, is indeed ease, is indeed desirability, contentment. One of the byproducts of this is co-creativity. The alchemy of one consciousness in constant co-creation within itself. Co-creativity. Co-creativity that is not arising from an attempt to control an environment that would be hostile were it not controlled. Co-creativity that is arising from a state of contentment, which requires nothing in order to be content in its now moment. This liberates true co-creativity. And this is where, when humanity is able to collectively access this state, this is where innovations that will evolve the technological face of humanity's planet in leaps and bounds, this is where those innovations may enter. This is the temperature of awareness required for the innovations and inventions that will in fact help heal the planet. Not through the terror of what will happen if humanity does not fix everything immediately now, through controlling how it is behaving, acting, creating. There are a phenomenal number of innovations that are entering the consciousness of humanity because this situation has created the right temperature of awareness. And there are a great number of temperate intellects, awarenesses, receiving now innovation through inspiration, creating out of passion that which is exciting. For creating out of passion that which is exciting is always an alignment with one's true purpose in the moment. One's true purpose in the moment originating from the shape of consciousness one is, within the pattern of all consciousness, in harmony with itself. These moments, these are moments of shining. These are moments where the star that each of you are in the constellation of individuation that is I am consciousness within all that is, these moments are when you shine, when you radiate, when you are engaged in moments of creative play that arise from your beingness. For in beingness, The simplicity of self is remembered. This simplicity is having an experience of complexity. And in moments of beingness, when the simplicity of self is remembered, so much of complexity can dissolve into its source coding. And in one moment, everything can change. What is projected out for a holographic experience of consciousness containing itself within a field of phenomena can change in one moment. And every moment where the eyes that face outwards turn inwards and take up residence in the seat and center of the self, more of remembering can happen. Remembering what is. Those responses that arise from beyond the mental processes of the mind. Those responses that arise in the eyes that face outwards when they're also facing inwards. Those responses are happening now. And they are rewriting what can and cannot be, what shall and shall not be, projected into the holographic, collective experience of humanity's physicality in the realm of phenomena within the earth. These moments of remembering come most deeply in moments of letting go. First, there is a turning away from the landscape of phenomena to turn inwards. But we also see clearly the co-creation, the landscape of physicality within which this I resides. For in these honest responses of one consciousness responding to the co-creations of this now moment, in these honest responses that originate in the hearts, bodies and minds of all of us, new choices are made, and new choices change the hologram. Change the why of it, which will lead to a changing of the what of it. We ask you to sit now for a moment in silence with us. In connectivity within, with each other, within the planet. And to sit and breathe and feel the simplicity of this now moment. Thank you for receiving this transmission. Whatever is for you may land, and what is not may pass you by. For us it is a great delight, truly an honor, to connect with you more physically, in vibration more closely, and to share these moments of connectivity in peace and simplicity. Beyond all the complexity that also is a part of the story unraveling and renewing itself here. And seductive and alluring though information can be, complexity can be, complexity can only truly be rewoven in like shape. In its natural patterns and rhythms. When the simplicity of peace, stillness, and silence, and spaciousness is accessed through the center. It is a gateway to the self, beyond all complexity, all that complexity, you could say. Thank you. We are the lion beings from Sirius. We meet you as sovereign being to sovereign being. In the light of grace. There's really nothing I feel I can add. Thank you. Thank you for sitting with this. It was a great joy to bring through. Always feels like it's coming for me from home. Home in many senses. Home that seems to have lots of different focal points, but home nonetheless. Thank you. Till next time. Thank you.